My name is Natalie Krol. I am a self-professed cradle Catholic. Like Jacques, I never questioned my faith. I went to Catholic school. I learned what I was supposed to learn. I didn't question it because that's the way it was supposed to be. I know for my generation that is not as normal to see. But for me, that's what was normal. There were two sports I was always picked for first in school: dodgeball and Bible baseball. Because for me, it was natural. For me, it's what I was supposed to know. I don't know if I'm a dynamic Catholic, but I'm certainly trying. It's been a journey to get to where I am in my faith, and it's going to continue to be a journey. My personal faith story started, there are two things that happened at the same time. I got involved with youth ministry, and I left to go to university. So I got involved in something that would help my faith grow, and I left to go to a place where very often faith dies in youth. My first 2 years of university were very stereotypical. Even though I went to church on Sundays, my body was there, but my heart was not. My guilt brought me there. My mind and my heart weren't open to what God was trying to deliver into my life. My priorities were not on my relationship with God. My priorities were not on loving myself in the way that Christ had modeled and Christ wanted to love me. My priorities were all over the place, as most university students are. But I would come home in the summers, so from April until the end of August, my life was filled with God. I was a part of youth ministry. I was learning. I had opportunities to evangelize and to be generous with the gifts and talents that God had given me. I made a note to someone on one of my summers home that I noticed in myself that I smiled more and I laughed more when I was home. And then I would go back to university and continue those negative habits that were pulling me down. I'm sorry, I keep popping into the microphone. My third year of university was another instance of two contradictory things happening. For my life choices, it was one of my lowest points. I was very self-destructive. I was putting myself into situations where I was getting very hurt. It was hurting me, and it was making me much more distant with my relationship with God. At the same time, my sister and one of our very good friends from Journey to the Father started at my same university. So for the first time, I had a teeny tiny little sense of community, because up until then, I was the only university student at my parish. So now there were 3 of us. We grew exponentially. And so while I was going through these really low times, God had provided me with a sense of community, which is so necessary for us, to have that community, to learn about it and strengthen our faith together. In my 4th year of university, I realized I needed to make a change. I was planning on going to teachers college, and I was living a life that was decidedly not responsible. If I was going to be responsible for changing youth and being responsible, like having lives in my hands, I needed to take care of myself. When I started teachers college, a priest suggested that I started by reading the Gospels. So I read one chapter every night. When I got to the end of John, it was kind of like Forrest Gump. I got there and I was like, I'll just keep going. So I went through and I got to the end of the New Testament, and at the end of the New Testament I decided, just keep going. And I read all the Old Testament, and then I read through the Apocrypha. So for about 4 years, my faith was so alive because I was learning about my people. I was learning about my faith. I understood the history behind where I came from. I was able to look back in the New Testament and say, oh my goodness, it's so obvious. How did not everybody see that was Jesus who was prophesied? But when I finished the Bible, that was the end of a 4-year habit. And I needed something new, and that was when I really started to learn about my faith. I started taking courses to become qualified to teach religion, and I learned more about my faith tradition. I learned about the catechesis behind it. And so I encourage people to just open up the catechism. It's a daunting looking book, but once you get it open, it's And there are some pretty brilliant people who have some writings in there who will open your eyes to what it truly, like what our faith tradition truly means. And I've been talking for a while, so I'm going to wrap it up. When I finally got my prayer life back on track was when my life and my faith started to reflect what God wanted for me as well. I finally learned to be able to see myself the way God sees me, and I was able to love the person that God created me to be. I became confident in myself, I became independent in who I was, but because I knew it didn't matter what other people thought about me, because I was living for God and I was evangelizing His Word. Things I used to struggle with, like finding work, and any new teacher out there will attest to this, it's impossible. It didn't matter anymore, because God was going to provide what I needed whenever I needed it to happen. I think a fifth sign of a dynamic Catholic is recognizing that your journey is never over. There's always room to pray more, there's always room to learn more, to evangelize more, and to give more of ourselves. I'm lucky. By following God's call into the Catholic school system, I have an opportunity to do that on a daily basis. But I pray that each and every one of you are able to find how God is calling you, why He called you into where you are right now, to be able to live these 4 dynamic signs in your life, and to grow daily in His glorious plan for you. Thank you.